Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ty Dens channel with me Ty and no Ronnie, no Kieran. It's just me here to talk about Liverpool versus Manchester City. This is just shy of 24 hours after, which is another defeat for Liverpool. Another home defeat as well. That Van Dijk record that he had all those years where he'd only lost 3 games at home, it's now pretty much doubled just based on this season. I thought I'd come on to YouTube and also TikTok to give my opinions, to also hear your thoughts as well, because the only time I get to interact with everyone is during the games, and sometimes when we talk during the games you don't always get the best representation of what you're thinking, or like a lot of it's just very rash, a lot of it's very emotional picks. When I do my player votes as well, it's always a bit off the cuff, so I thought I'd come into the chat, come live with everyone, and we can just discuss a few things. The first thing that I think we need to talk about quickly, to put it on a positive note after a really poor defeat, is the Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, which is an absolute rocket. Probably the best free kick I've seen. Is up there with the Arsenal one. For anyone who's watching in the comments, if you can put in who you believe is actually a better free kick, the free kick he scored against Arsenal or the one last night against Man City, but both unbelievable. Dominic Szoboszlai is our player of the season so far. I know Hugo Ekitike has been on absolute fire recently, but Dominic Szoboszlai has been there week in and week out, even when we're playing 2-3 times a week, never given a rest, even though he's got a rest for the next game, which is something we'll get into later due to the suspension. But absolute thunderbolt from Dominic Szoboszlai. And if you haven't seen the reaction as well, you can check that out on our either live stream or the video that we uploaded. But absolute, like, everyone I've spoken to about that Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, they just can't get over it. Like, that is a goal good enough to win any match of football. And to be on the losing team, especially to score so late on the way that we did and not come out with at least a point, I'm still a bit like, well, as the title says, I'm still not over it. I still can't believe after everything that we went through, we still weren't able to get the 3 points from that. So, or even a point at home, it's just not good enough. Ivang saying, hey bro, we need Gakpo sold ASAP to the Rocky. Gakpo's a weird one. Gakpo is one that, based off last year, and I was actually speaking to someone earlier about this, because they went Gakpo's useless, and he's not rubbish. Like we saw from last year, he's a decent player. There's a good player in there because of the goals he got last year. Now, granted, Cody Gakpo wasn't in our starting 11 when we had our best team out there. You probably had Diego Jota up top, Salah, who was in the form of his life, out on the right, and then Luis Diaz on the left, which we saw in the summer. And Diaz and Gakpo took turns. Sometimes Cody Gakpo would be starting on the left, and you play Luis Diaz off in the middle. But in both those scenarios, Luis Diaz is starting, and Cody Gakpo is a rotation player. And because of how well he did last year, with the amount of goals he got, a lot of them in cup games, a lot of those in games where you rotated, the analytic people in Liverpool, the data people, probably looked at it and gone, well, for all the reasons why we had to sell Luis Diaz, and I've heard so many people hear it, you need to sell, well, you didn't need to, but I have no complaints about us selling Luis Diaz, not as a player-wise, but from a business standpoint. It made sense money-wise, the age of him, the wages that he wanted. The issue is that once we got rid of Luis Diaz, we never replaced him with anyone. The thought was, because Cody Gakpo and him did so well last year, Cody Gakpo can just replicate that this season, and then Rio and Gamoa can be cover for when Gakpo needs a rest, or when we're winning games like we did constantly last year, you can rotate, make subs early, and then Gakpo hasn't got to play every minute of every game. However, I think what people forget to realise is Cody Gakpo wasn't as electric as it seemed to be. Luis Diaz was doing a lot of the carrying. Cody Gakpo would play in part-time games. The system also suited what we did a lot more last year compared to what we did to this year. So sold, no, but what we needed to do was buy someone because Rio and Gamera had a good summer and looked pretty good for a handful of games and preseason games. Is not the reason to just make those two our only two left wingers. We've got no one else now. Rio and Gamera is very clearly not. It's not the Slot doesn't like him, but he just doesn't want to play that 17-year-old constantly, which I totally understand. But it means that you've only got Cody Gakpo, and like the first comment is Gakpo sold ASAP. So we needed someone. We needed someone with pace as well because Salah looks like he's lost a yard of pace. I know Ekitike is quick. Isak is quick, but obviously he's been out injured, so we haven't been able to see him. So yeah, we need a left winger because him and Salah out there are just the same player to me. Cody Gakpo is a B-Tech version of what Mo Salah is, and they both don't really do enough tracking back. They're both not electric. They like the ball to their feet, let their fullback overlap them just so they can cut inside and try and take a shot off. So Gakpo sold? No, because we don't have anyone else. It would just be Rio and Gamora, but we do need backup in that, definitely in the summer. We need someone with pace. We need someone that can carry the ball. We've got no one that can carry the ball from deep up the field. I mean, last night as well, the amount of times we just kick it long and give away possession. No one can win a foul. Sometimes I think Wirtz is amazing, but he's hit and miss. But it's his first time, and also to put all the pressure on him. But like I saw in one of the comments, just imagine spending 500 million in the summer and still being rubbish. So yeah, cheers for that. Spencer, hey Ty, hey, great to have you in here. Like I said, I thought it'd be something different, be able to talk about the game. Now there's a lot on both TikTok here and there's a lot of people here on TikTok and the YouTube here saying that Slot needs to go. Just quickly, more people put in Slot in or Slot out, because this is the closest it's been for a while where it's looked like enough is enough. For some people this may seem crazy. I'm still Slot in, and my reasons for Slot in is one, I know the obvious one is Alonso, but we've seen before that managers that come in halfway throughout the season don't always get it right. We saw it with Amrin. And now people may say, look at what Chelsea and Man United are doing, two teams that were below us before they changed their managers, and now they're both above us. They're going off the manager bounce, and that's exactly what we need. But we should, one, not be getting someone for the short term. We should not get someone that's just a quick fix. We've got a league-winning manager, whether people like it or not. People may say it's Slot's team that you won it with. It doesn't matter. Klopp didn't win it every year with his team. So the fact Slot was able to get something out of this team means he does have something about him, whether people like it or not. The fact that we've made so many changes, and for some things that he comes out and says in press conferences, like last year we were praising for how open he was and how he didn't really keep his cards close to his chest. He told everyone what he thought. However, when you start losing games and it comes off a bit arrogant, that's where I think people start having an issue with Arne Slot, because I don't think he's got that relationship like Klopp had with the Liverpool fans or just the people in Liverpool. He gives me vibes of just a really good manager, Arne Slot. But there's been a good manager who can manage in one of the top clubs in world football, but there's also a manager that is suited for Liverpool. And what I mean by that is Liverpool Football Club. Now, if you don't support Liverpool here, then this may sound crazy to you, but there's more to it than just managing the team. You've got to be able to connect with the people, whether that's the people in Liverpool or the Liverpool fans worldwide, because Liverpool is one of the biggest brands, not just football clubs, in the world. So you need to be, like, you are the voice of reason. We put the manager on a pedestal. The manager of Liverpool Football Club is as big as like any of the players, anything that Liverpool does, that is like, oh, it can't be the manager's fault. So it's got to be the players aren't doing good enough or the board aren't backing the manager. The manager is like our king. And that's the way we've done it with Shankly, done it with Paisley, at times with Benitez. But obviously there was times towards the end where people had enough of Benitez as well. But especially with Jurgen Klopp in my era anyway, when you do well as a Liverpool manager, you are it. Like Klopp's never getting sacked. He went because he had enough. And now he looks fresh as anything ever since he's left. So fair play to him. And the fact Arne Slot came in and won a league title in his first year, he's got to be there. That's why I'm like Slot in still currently. Like, he won a league title. This is something that he made the point out. He changed the narrative. That's why I think people getting annoyed with Arne Slot, that's our second Premier League title in 30 years. He was saying before it's 2 in 5 years, and that's why we need to carry on this momentum. But realistically, he is right. It is 2 Premier League trophies in 30 years. It's 2 Premier League trophies in my lifetime. This is the best time ever to be a Liverpool fan. In the recent years, within the last 5 to 10 years, we've hit 92, 97, 98 points in the Premier League, made multiple European Cup finals, whether that's in the Europa League or the Champions League especially, winning the biggest trophies as well. And Arne Slot is a manager and has been a part of something for Liverpool that's been able to achieve that. So to get rid of him and no one's a guarantee in this world. Xabi Alonso is not a guarantee in this world. If he was that great, and I know again, I talk about Liverpool as its own brand. You need like the Liverpool manager as the head. Real Madrid is a different kettle of fish, the way they treat their managers and their players. But that's up to them. But for argument's sake, if he was that great at Real Madrid, he wouldn't have been sacked. But I know Real Madrid run their ship very differently to how we do it. So I'm not saying if I woke up the next morning and it said Slot got sacked and Xabi Alonso's coming in, that I wouldn't be happy. I'd just be disappointed for Slot that he couldn't work it out, because the man that we all cheered for last year, the man that we went to the parade for to celebrate, we thought this was going to be the year of domination after what happened last year. But the fact that it's gone so far the other way, the fact that we're so far behind of what we were, the fact that we're so far off what the league champions, our performances, our results, Arsenal, who currently sit top of the league as well, 17 points clear of us, 17 points clear of us, is just not good enough. There's like, that gap is ridiculous. Like, we should not be 17 points behind anything or anyone that we're trying to chase down. And we're already outside the top 4, let alone 5. 5th place will probably be enough to get Champions League football next season, and we're still out of that, behind Chelsea, behind Man United. So I really understand the Slot out, and I think this week, I know it happens a lot. People say, oh, this is a big week for him, but this is a big week. The game on Wednesday night against Sunderland, away, who are still undefeated, so it's no easy game. But I don't care how well they've done. We need something against Sunderland. You can't. A point is the bare minimum. But if we come out with Sunderland and lose in that game, which is very likely, the way we're performing and the way Sunderland are at home, but if he ends up losing that, and then we play Brighton on the weekend at home, this is nothing, at home, for the amount of times we've lost at home this season, in the Cup, and we're already out the FA Cup, then I think there'll be real, whether I'm Slot in at that point still, but there'll be real noise from the outside, whether it's Liverpool fans or just football in general, that as great as he was last year, we'll have to thank him for his service and hopefully bring someone else in, because as much as I don't want someone to come in just to be a manager bounce, I'd like someone to come in the summer and do it properly. But say, if Alonso was willing to come in now and do the job and try and get us, I mean, there's still a lot to play for. We're still in the FA Cup. We've still got a Champions League campaign to play for and potentially win, especially the way that we play against the top sides. There's a real opportunity for Arne Slot to do something, or Xabi Alonso, I should mean. But what I don't want to see is like we sack Arne Slot and then it's like Gerrard till the rest of the season, because I just don't think that's a step forward. All that's going to be is a quick manager bounce, but even then, is it going to be enough for the long term? I just think we end up looking like a club that is not confident in what we're doing. So at the minute, Slot in, but put in the comments for both if you are like, it doesn't matter what Slot does, even if he wins the next 2-3 games, that he needs to go, whether it's now or either in the summer. Chris saying, we are still in the Champions League, FA Cup, having a hope of finishing top 4. Can only see more misery until Slot is sacked. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's still a lot to play for. Champions League, FA Cup. If he ends up winning the Champions League, then I think everyone who's been Slot out will be eating their words. But just the way I know we've looked good in the Champions League as well. I mean, we managed that's what annoys me. You watch us in the Champions League, we finished 3rd, and that's the elite of European football. Yet you watch us week in and week out in the Premier League, we look a complete different side. So there is hope in the Champions League, but I just think when push comes to shove, home and away over 2 legs, what concerns me is Anfield isn't a fortress anymore. That's the biggest concern, because I think we can get a point or have a decent result against anyone away from home, bring them to Anfield, which again, because we finished so high in the group stage, a lot of our second legs will be at Anfield. But the way that we just dropping points at Anfield against every team, whether they're a good side or not, is a real concern, which is why Champions League football, well, in the league, but especially in the competition, if we get knocked out before the quarterfinals, then we are literally just playing for nothing. We get knocked out in the FA Cup on the weekend, and then we don't make it into the next round of the Champions League. That the season's done and dusted. And if you want to sack him then and there, then fair enough. If the board don't see him being the manager for next season, even if he gets top 5, then you might as well do it there and then. But at least he and the team and us as fans have still something to play for, something to watch, something to still get excited for. We're still in a top 5 race. We're still in both cup competitions. So it's not the end of the world, but the performances and the results are really, really worrying. And again, another home defeat. So Latan, I want to say, hey, is Suda from Hungary. I hope we still have a chance to play Champions League next year. Yeah, that is the main goal. Get top 5 minimum. It should be 5th is enough as well. If it's not 5th, then we are in serious danger. But the fact that the English teams are so strong in this competition, then I do think we should be fine, really. Well, to at least fight for that 5th position. But we're not catching Arsenal. City, after winning that, are clear. I know a few people, especially Man United fans, are getting a bit carried away thinking if we were to beat Man City, then United would only be 3 points off them, which would actually drag City into a top 5 race rather than the title push. But personal preference, I don't want to see Arsenal win the league just because of fans. I know they make a lot more noise. I know a lot more Arsenal fans as well as mates, and them win the league would be unbearable. And also, City win the league. They've done it before. It's fixed. It's 115 charges. Let them do it again. It doesn't really mean a lot. It's a nothing season. Chris saying not signing Mark Gay from Palace is unforgivable. That could not be a more true statement after the performance that he put on last night for Man City. I was praying on Mark Gay's downfall, and not because I don't like him as a player or a person. I think he chose Man City over us, so yeah, your choice. Do what you want to do. It's your life. But don't expect to come there and not get booed out the building like he did. However, I thought he had an outstanding performance. I thought he stood up, he won all his aerial battles, he intercepted nearly everything and was there for key big moments as well. Was really good on the ball. Ibu Konate has turned his form around as well recently, which is promising, especially after the tragic news that he's had to go through recently. But ever since he's come back, he's been probably his best 2 games I've seen, the Newcastle game. And I thought, even though we conceded 2, and I know we lost the header to Haaland, but I don't really put that down to Konate. I think it was always Haaland's to win. It was a deflection as well, so Konate was never really set to win that. So the centre halves have been fine, but the issue is they're the only centre halves we have. When Konate been gone, we only have Joe Gomez, but as Liverpool fans, we know you're not keeping Joe Gomez for a season. But you're lucky if you keep Joe Gomez in for 3-4 games in a row. So not getting Mark Gay is slightly unforgivable, more for the fact that it was done. The deal was done in the summer. Like, he had his goodbye video for Crystal Palace. He was pretty much seen with pictures and signing the Liverpool contract, and then Palace pulling it from under the rug towards the end because they couldn't get their business done properly, and their chairman was in some sort of Pilates class, not really paying attention. This ends up costing us. That's more down to the higher ups, like your chief officer and your sports directors, because we're trying to haggle for a price, knowing that Crystal Palace didn't really have a lot to bargain with. The fact that he's able to go to Man City for such a cheap price as well, and to perform like that, yeah, it hurt just knowing that his first game at Anfield, leaving Crystal Palace, wasn't in a red shirt but in a blue, and I thought he played amazing. So yeah, really unforgivable for the business done there. We did try and sign someone in the summer, but again, that seemed like a very panic buy. It was someone that's not really getting a lot of games where he currently is. We signed the young lad, Jeremy Jaguet, whatever his name is. Promising, big things, a lot of money as well. But I'm hoping he's not one of the many, because in his first game for Rennes, I think it is, since he signed for Liverpool, he's injured his shoulder and will be out for a tiny bit. So he can join the list of him, Leone, Joe Gomez on the injury list. So you just don't want to be a centre-half at Liverpool at this current moment. Darzo saying, to be fair, that free kick was Roberto Carlos S from Dom. Totally agree. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, one of the best free kicks I've ever seen. And you can watch our reaction on the channel after this. You can either watch the whole watch along that we did to the game or the shorter version on the videos. But yeah, one of the best reaction. I think it's one of the best reactions we'd ever given to a goal, just because of the outrageousness of the finish from him. Amar says, we've been losing home and away, and that's never happened for the last 8 years. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to lose games of football. You're not always going to be the top team. I said it last year as well. We've got to enjoy these moments when we're winning the league, because like I said, there's 2 out of 5 years, 2 out of 30 years Premier League titles. So you've got to take it when you have these chances, enjoy these moments. But it's the amount of defeats. It's the fact for me, you always want to win it. But like I said, I know you're not always going to. So my biggest thing is, you don't always have to win it, and I can accept that, but you at least have to compete. And my biggest issue, like the comment you just made there, is we're not even competing. The amount of defeats that we've got home and away, it doesn't matter. There's nothing that gives me hope. No matter who we play, it's the first time in donkey's years, or maybe ever, that Liverpool have not been able to beat the 3 newly promoted sides at home. We've played them all at home and weren't able to win any of them, which is a massive worry. Anfield used to be a fortress. There was a record as well with Klopp where, I know it was over 2 seasons, but we got like 103 points out of 105 possible. And the only 2 points that we dropped was because of a draw. And that draw was in arguably the greatest football game I've seen from a Liverpool fan. Not entertainment-wise, but footballing-wise. That Man City 2-1 win against Liverpool, where John Stones blocks it off the line. Aguero scores that goal. Bobby Firmino, we play like 30 passes and Liverpool score. Great football. And that was at the Etihad as well. So the fact that we're losing so many games, home and away, this is where I think it's the biggest issue. And I know people say, I was sort of defending the point earlier on that people saying to me, oh, if it wasn't for those first 5 games of the season, then how rubbish you would be. And I was like, yeah, but you've still got to win those first 5. But I think we've only won 5 games since September. We're now in February. September, October, November, December, January, February. That's 6 months. We've won 5 games of football in the league. Someone can let me know if I'm incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that's a stat because we haven't won many games of football and we won the first 5, which were very entertaining, but all last minute, very fluky. So it's going against the point I was making, but if you do take away those 5, the form we're in and where we be in the table is relegation worthy. It's so bad from this team. And I know the table, it is still bad, but it's not like... This is like privilege problems Liverpool have. We currently sit 6th in the league, just outside Champions League football. There are teams fighting for their lives in the Premier League. There's teams not even in the Premier League, in the Championship or Conference League, which will go, like, they're true fans. You don't know what true struggle is, and I get that. But looking at our camp and looking at what Liverpool should be and what I expect every time I watch us, why I supported us for all these years, is you expect a certain standard from us and we just below that with performances and results constantly. So losing home and away has never happened for the last 8 years, like you said, is unacceptable. Spencer says, sitting on our hands during the window with injuries and thin bench is unforgivable. I think that could really cost us for Champions League next year. What will cost us is you can save all your money, but if you're not going to buy anyone and we miss out on Champions League football, then one, the money we have spent, the 400 to/500 million, will be in serious debt because we'd have to do unbelievably well the next season just to make up for the losses that we've had for this year. What was it? Yeah, just not sign anyone is going to be a massive issue just for the lack of depth. It's not even so much a lack of depth, it's where we've lost people. We haven't got, I know Isak's out, but we've still got Ekitike, but the issue is the bench for him, the cover for him is Chiesa, who I know people love Chiesa, but I'll be totally honest, isn't up to the level. He's good in like little spells, but isn't good enough to challenge. Well, last year, I know people bag on him, but we had Darwin Núñez. I'd much rather have Darwin Núñez than Chiesa this season. Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz, Mo Salah in the form of his life. This year, our options are Cody Gakpo, Salah, who's off form, Ekitike, who's on fire, but other than that's Chiesa and Rio and Gamoa. Like, the strength and depth is way below par. We've signed right back cover after Trent leaving, and yet they're both injured, so we're playing our best player this season in right back, who has done a decent job, but again, not where you want your star men to be, playing as a defensive player. So not signing anyone this window could be costly. I got no issue looking for the long-term future of the club. You need to do that. You can't make everything so rash and so short-term. But you make too many long-term decisions, you start damaging the short-term and the now. And at this current moment in time, that is what's happening. So the board and the manager must believe that we have enough as it stands to get at least top 5 and make good campaigns in both cup competitions. But if we don't get Champions League football and we don't manage to win any of the cup competitions, or at least compete, then the board are going to look really stupid. And Arne Slot, I'm sorry to say, will probably be walking. A few people, Flover saying we really need a winger with pace. Totally agree. We probably, like someone said, we need 2 wingers. We need the Salah depth. We need the Salah replacement. And I can't believe how bad Salah's been as well. That's probably one of the most disappointing things. And we need someone that can carry the ball high, because like we saw last night, Man City just signed this young this midfielder called Semenyo. I don't know if Liverpool were ever trying to look to buy Semenyo, but he looks half decent. He looks like he's got Premier League experience. He looks like he can get goals. He gives me Sadio Mane vibes with the way that he plays the game. He's strong, he's quick, he's very good in the air. He can carry the ball, he protects it well, he scores goals, he links up well, he can cross the ball as well. But to be fair, we don't need someone like that when you've got Cody Gakpo in, who ignores his fullback constantly in Kirkes and just cuts in and shoots on his right peg, hitting it into the stands. So, yeah, Wingers might be a smart idea, but obviously the board don't think so. Flo saying it's more likely Slot will not be sacked because Liverpool didn't buy anyone in January. Liverpool has no excuse to sack him. Yeah, unless the results are very terrible. Yeah, I sort of agree with that. We like I was saying, if we sack him, it has to be someone like Alonso who's coming in for now. If it's not Alonso, I don't know who else it is. And Alonso might want to break after everything that happened at Real Madrid, or he might want to come in when he has a full pre-season with him. Because the last thing Alonso would want if he came and became Liverpool manager is you come in to a team that's underperforming and you have no time to train them because you have a game day in and day out, and then it looks like Alonso's a bad manager because he can't get anything clicking with this team. So stick with what you know. It's not great, but I don't think it's panic button yet. But again, we are getting very, very, very close to this. Kieran's here. Hello, Ty. Just joined. Assume you're talking about how we're going to win the Champions League. Kieran's very optimistic actually about winning the Champions League, and I hope you're right. They make great videos. It would be great to watch as well. I'm actually though talking about how I'm still not over the performance last night, or the result more so. I actually thought the performance at times was not too bad. I thought the first half, people bagged on the first half in the Man City game because Man City dominated us with the ball. And I was saying this in the live stream that I thought we weren't actually playing bad. I just think when we had the ball, we were too quick to give it away. We didn't protect it well enough. And I understand the tactic was to hit it long, bring them in to find space and behind, because that's where Liverpool play the best, when they're space and behind opposition. And at times it almost worked. We almost pressed them really high. Never really came to it because, again, Mark Gay, a really good centre half that Liverpool should have got the deal done, was able to play through the lines. Rodri, I thought, had a really good game for Man City as well. One of his best since he's returned from that injury. So we did try, but when you lose and you're at home, that you can only play like that if you get the result. But the fact that we hardly had any shots on target, I don't even know if we had a shot on target in the first half. We had less possession. That is why I think a lot of people are Slot out. This is like, it's not just the results, it's the performances of the defeats that we're having. The amount of last minute goals as well. I actually thought we came out in the second half really well, and I don't think anyone can argue that. But again, we take the lead and then we threw it. Like, we've actually done the polar opposite of what we've done recently. Throughout this whole season, when we go 1-0 down, we notoriously lose the game. Yet, in the Newcastle game, we went 1-0 down and managed to score 4. And when we take the lead, we normally manage to keep it, or at least get a point out of it. And again, wonder strike from Dominic Szoboszlai. But we end up losing the game with another last-minute goal. So yeah, it's not great. Taylor saying, Slot in for me. Won the league in his first season. Done well so far in the Champions League this season. Of course, would love to be better in the league, but can't get behind second manager at the moment. Yeah, like the points I was making before. Keep putting them in. Keep putting in stuff that you think in the chat, because I want to read through what people think. It's the reason why I'm doing these videos, these live streams anyway, because videos sometimes take a bit too long if I really want to edit them down. This is just something that we can talk off the bat, give everyone their 2 cents, and give me clarity as well of what people are thinking. Also, I can come and speak on this with a much clearer head than just yelling at the ref when the game's on. But yeah, I'm still slotting as it stands, but I think the next 2 games are very important for how we see his position being in the near future. Flo saying, I think is likely to drop out of the top 5 because we don't have wingers with pace unless Aston Villa drop points. To be honest, it doesn't look like Chelsea are going to drop points anytime soon, but they have got an easy run. They're at home to Leeds and then they're at home to Burnley, so I expect them to gain all 6 points. But after that, they go away to Arsenal. I think they go away to Aston Villa and Newcastle. So I think we could still be in with a bit more rough, but it's a 38-game season. talk to me about his position after 38 games, or when it becomes mathematically impossible for us getting Champions League football next season. But there's still a lot of football to play for, still a lot of points to play for. Chelsea will drop points. Man United have really got a big manager bounce in Michael Carrick. And I actually have a different vibe with Michael Carrick. I make the joke with United fans. It's like, I've seen the story before. It's Ollie at the wheel. But I actually think he's got a tune out of him. And he isn't just come in and play defensive and countered, or just at least got half decent better performances. They're playing some really nice football. And it's not as simple as people saying, oh, he's just putting plays in their correct position that Amrin wasn't doing, which is true. But I think that's doing a disservice to Michael Carrick. I expect them to beat West Ham, but again, the league's unpredictable. West Ham are playing some half-decent football now, or at least getting results. It'd be a real statement as well if Man United were able to win 5 games in a row. That fella would end up getting his hair cut as well. To win 5 games of football in a row is a massive thing to do. That was Man City's first win in their last 6. It's not easy to win games of football in the Premier League or in European competition. So, again, it's not panic buttons just yet. Just not yet, anyway. K-Dad says, if no Champions League next year, I think a lot of players will go. That's an interesting suggestion or comment. Some will be expecting Champions League football, but then again, I don't know where a lot go. Like, the new lads can't go, like Verts and Isak and Ekatike. They've just signed. It'd be a real statement if we end up selling them, and that would make us look in such a weak position. But the money they're on, for the stature and the size that Liverpool is, I can't see many of them going. It'd probably be a bit more of the old guard, and maybe to make a bit more of a profit. It might be Mo Salah's the last season for us, and I hope it doesn't tail end the way that it's going. I hope we at least, if it is the last few games for Liverpool, I hope he's able to do something, whether that's win a cup. Oh, I'd love him to win the Champions League for us, or at least get some goal tallies in, because I don't want to look at his goal tallies throughout Liverpool's career. I don't think he's ever scored less than 19 goals in the Premier League or in a season for Liverpool. And I don't know what he's on, but I know it's nowhere near 19 at the moment. So I don't want to look at the legend, the king that he is, in years to come and go, oh, 19 goals, 20 goals, 40 goals, 100 goals. And then the final season for us is like 6, 7 goals. So, yeah, but he might end up going. Van Dijk, I don't think would go just because of the age, and he's the captain and that. Alisson's a weird one. Marmanashvili probably be waiting only so long, the same way Kelleher could only wait so long. And after the performance Alisson made last night, is it time for him to go? I think it's silly. I think he's still the best goalkeeper in the world, or on his day, the best that there ever was. So, yeah, players could go. I think the players that would go would be players that are replaceable. Maybe like your McAllisters, maybe like your Ryan Gravenberch. Probably the biggest fear would be Dominic Szoboszlai going. But I'm hoping this team's got enough to at least get top 5. Man United surely can't go on the way they are. Chelsea surely will take a dip at some point. And Aston Villa look like they are dropping points at a very fast rate. So, but there's no point in these teams dropping points if we're not going to pick up points and punish them for it. That's my biggest issue. There's no point in them all losing games or drawing against each other when we are still losing our games. It means nothing. We've been on like 30 odd points for so however long. Well, we got everyone's talking amongst themselves. I'm going to go through a bit of what I thought of the game last night. I want to know people's thoughts on the Dominic Szoboszlai red card at the end. Do we agree that he should be sent off? Do we think that the game is completely gone and that should just be a goal? Don't punish Haaland. Don't punish Dominic Szoboszlai. Just make that 3-1 Man City. They get the 3 points. They get the extra goal. Liverpool don't lose Dominic Szoboszlai. Because I don't agree with the view that I've heard that, oh, but that's not fair because that punishes Sunderland if he doesn't get sent off. But my thought is, this isn't a Sunderland issue. What happens in that moment has got nothing to do with Sunderland Football Club or the opposing fixtures for the next games. You're reffing or judging something that happens there and then. There's nothing to do with, oh, it's unfair for the other teams. It doesn't matter. You're punishing or rewarding something that's happening then. You're giving Man City a goal, or Dominic Szoboszlai is being sent off for that game. The reason he missed the other game is because they make the rule that players just can't get sent off, because if there was no punishment afterwards, people just get sent off all the time. One, to just slow play down, or to stop teams from a really attacking opportunity, and would take a red card because it doesn't really mean anything. But I don't agree that it should mean anything to do with the next fixture. So for anyone who's saying it's it'd be unfair on Sunderland or whoever you'd be suspended against, I think, okay, means nothing. You should punish him on whether you think that should be a red card at the moment. Now, for reference or to say what happened, Alisson's out of goal. Cherky gets the ball at the halfway line, pretty much takes a shot or a really long pass. Haaland has the better of Dominic Szoboszlai, runs past him, looks like he's about to tap it in. Dominic Szoboszlai is pulling him back, manages to get in front of him. Haaland then trips him over. Ball goes in the back of the net without anyone touching it, and Man City go 3-1 up. Now, the reason that it should be a red card is because it stops Haaland from scoring. But then also the point is the amount of times you see a ref do that and just say play on. The whole point of the game is to score goals. So if you're taking it back for a free kick to stop a goal, which you're playing advantage for, I'm still a bit confused why. I understand it's the rule, but we can't let a bit of common sense come in. Like, the game was done. You could very much argue that it was really stupid from Dominic Szoboszlai. Just let Haaland go through and score. It doesn't mean anything. 3-1 to us makes no difference to the 2-1. But he decides to think that we got a chance. He's able to catch him up or able to prevent them scoring, and we may be able to go up and counter. He doesn't. He fouls him, and the ref then turns back, gives it a free kick to Man City, and sends off Dominic Szoboszlai. So are people agreeing that that was the right decision? Spencer's going red. He should have let him go. Game was gone anyways. That's the same. Totally agree. Should have just let him go. I understand though. He's a competitive athlete. He thinks he may be able to stop it, or 3-1 in his head may seem less embarrassing, but in the long term, that red card will cost him. So, Boswell saying it was stupid. It was always going in, and Haaland was outpacing him, and it was already 2-1. Again, agree. It could have 2-1 to 3-1. I don't know why we're worrying about the score when you've got your goalkeeper in the other opposition's box. If you're that concerned about conceding, don't have Alisson up in the box. Satu saying when Slot stops thinking right back gimmick, Dom looks fed up with this. He might be. I mean, he played as a Camel last season, but also we've got no Jeremy Frimpong, we've got no Connor Bradley. Unless you're going to play Endo there or Curtis Jones, I don't know where else you put Dominic Szoboszlai. You could argue you play Dom in the canverts on the left and you play Curtis Jones on right back, whether that's better than playing Cody Gakpo. But in Slot's eyes, Cody Gakpo is his love child with someone, so he's always going to play him. So I had no real issue playing Dom there because we're sort of out of options. But again, how we're out of options is remarkable for the amount of money that we spent and for the amount of quality we have, that we're having to play makeshift, put round pegs into square holes constantly after the amount of money we spent is just ridiculous to me. Jamie going, you what got me that we peep Linda's at the end raging. Oh, you what got me that we pep Linda's at the end raging. I'm actually going to get to that point in a minute, the Pep Linders thing, after we just go through a few of the red card things. Spencer going, when it went to VAR, I knew we were effed either way. If they brought it back, Don was gone and we lost him for the next game. yeah, probably should have just left him. Looking back on it now, just let him run through. But again, like I said, I understand it. Do we agree it's the right? That's what I want to know. Like, whether we all know it's a red card. The offence he did was a red card, definitely. Do we think, though, that we should just let it be a goal, or do we think the ref made the right call? Whether you agree by the letter of the law or just a bit of common sense in the game before VAR came in, just let Man City have their 3-1, give them an extra goal. No need to punish Dominic Szoboszlai, because even though he did try and stop a goal scoring opportunity, they still scored, so he didn't really stop it. It wasn't violent conduct either. So yeah, red card, like, was it the right decision? Yes or no? Marion says, yes, game is completely gone. Actually agree with Neville for once. The result was set in stone, but they were before wrestling each other, and Dom was doing everything last night. Feel so sorry for him. Yeah, like I made in the point earlier, whether you've been here the whole time or you've just joined the stream, the fact that Dominic Szoboszlai scored that goal and was not on the winning side seems criminal to the football gods, that you score a goal like that and you end up walking away with no points. You could argue why my vote earlier for was that goal better than the Arsenal one. The only thing that makes the Arsenal one a real favourite is, one, it was a 1-0 win to win the game. The goal, you could argue the City one is better, the technique they done, but does it mean less because of the moment? If everyone knows what I mean. That game was to lose 2-1, even though it took us 1-0 up, but we ended up getting nothing from that game. Whereas the Arsenal one, we managed to beat, which look like are going to be the champions of this year. Does it mean more from the result, or do we just look at that for whatever the goal is? Disaster class from Verts again against the top club. He's awful. He's not awful. He's just a bit hit and miss for me. I'm not on the bandwagon of Liverpool fans that go like, Verts can't do any wrong, he's amazing. I do think he gets a lot of online hate, but that's very much like your meme accounts or your clowning ones, of people that say something for the sake of it. If you watch the game, Verts is class, but I do think at times he can step up, especially like there are some games like last night in a big game against Man City. I do think he went missing. He was never able to pick up the ball in the first half because of the tactic we were employing. Second half, he started coming really deep, which was a tactic to pull people out of position. However, you're not getting the best out of Florian Wirtz. So my biggest thing is Arne Slot. I'd love to know what he said to Wirtz in the meeting when they signed him, because the whole thing I heard is Wirtz signed for Liverpool, not by Munich or anyone else, because of the plan that Slot and the board gave to him. And they showed him, they won him over by the interview that they gave him. Not for the money they spent or anything else. They said that he was going to play him more centrally. This was the plan. And yet, ever since he's joined, he's pretty much been pushed out onto the left. It's only recently he's been more central. But there looks like there's no real plan for Florian Wirtz, which is a real concern. So even though he's picked up a few more goals and assists recently, I'd still be a bit like, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and know what was said to Wirtz, which made him sign for us, which I'm so happy for. But it just seems to make no sense from what was ever said to what we're watching. Must be two completely different things, because if Wirtz agreed to what's going on, then I'm sorry to say, but Wirtz is an idiot, because there's no way to play with his quality or anyone would sign up for this, for constantly losing games and being put out of position and coming off early every other game. Before we go into a few of the other things as well, I just quickly want to point to the Pep Lijnders thing that Jamie was mentioning earlier. Nothing against Pep Lijnders, whether you want. We've heard what he had to say. He asked Klopp as well whether it was all right for him to go and join Man City, and Klopp made the joke that if he doesn't join City as the assistant coach under Pep, then he will. There's more to life. If he's not working for Liverpool, he has the free will to do what he wants. I don't think he went over the top last night. I think he was trying to be very respectful, because he has much love for Liverpool and for what he achieved with us and Klopp. It was the others, and I understand why they did it, but it was like Haaland and Foden pushing him. They were trying to get Mark Gay in front of the Liverpool crowd as well to provoke us. You could even see in the interviews as well with Virgil van Dijk and Arne Slot, you could hear the Man City dressing room really loud. The music was blaring. Fair game, do what you want. Slightly pushing the line of disrespectful, but if it was happening the other way around, I'd probably be like, come on lads, show him, get in the face. So I'm not going to kick too much of a fuss. But as a fan, like taking my logic head out of it and just thinking with my heart, I hated every minute of it. I didn't want to see Pep Linders celebrating with Man City. I hated seeing Haaland and Foden shove him in our face or try to. I hate them trying to do it with Mark Gay. I hated them being loud and boisterous in the change room as well. Just makes me want this team to go and slap them up. But at this current rate, we've lost 2-1 to them at home. We got slapped up at their place 3-0. So, and this team looks like it's got no chance of doing either one of those things at the minute. Getting a result or a performance against the top sides like Man City. I'm just sick and tired of watching us lose. And like the title says, I'm still not over it. Flo saying we may have to qualify. We may have to win the Champions League to qualify. That would be the. You know what? If that happened, I'd be relieved and it'd be amazing because one, you won big ears, you won the big trophy, you did everything that you set out for to win trophies and the best of them. But if it did come to that, it'd be two birds with one stone. But honestly, you'd be cacking yourselves. It'd be one of the biggest games of Liverpool's history. One, not just to get number 7 and win a Champions League, but knowing that if you win this Champions League, you get to play in the Champions League again. And knowing if you lose, one, you lost another final, which can happen. But two, knowing that you won't play in that competition next year would be massive, massive stakes. The same way like the Europa League last year was for Spurs and Man United. Both teams almost got relegated, and yet somehow Spurs are playing Champions League football this year and doing really, really well in this position. Kieran's saying the same point there. Do a Spurs and finish 17th. I think people would take that. You can put that in. Would you take a below top 10 finish and win the Champions League? Or well, I sort of think your league campaign has to be a bit respectable. But the Champions League is the Champions League. To win number 7 to guarantee Champions League football next year, even if we finish so low. I don't think 17th would be acceptable. I think you still probably sack Slot for that because you can't allow that. But you probably still take it and maybe sack Slot anyway. Kadar said he should have let it go, but it's a goal, so why VAR stops this? I think Haaland was not lucky with Dom's red card. Yeah, you could just let him go. Like we were making the point before. Jamie going, let it be a goal, but if the goal goes in, I think Brentford would have went above us. That's true. But again, that's the game. Like we can't start picking and choosing what we want just to suit our narrative. I want it to be fair. Like if they go 3-1 up and we are 7th because of the goal difference against Brentford, then we're 7th, then that's our fault for putting the keeper up there. Again, I got no issue with Alisson going up there to try and get a goal. You might as well try and win the game, or not even win the game, sorry. Try and get a point at home. But yeah, you can't change the narrative. I think it should be a goal. I understand why they sent him off. I just don't agree with it. I just think it kills the game completely. My cat Azazma has joined us. I'd take any finish and win the Champions League. The Premier League is already a write-off. If we stick with Slot, we'll be extremely lucky to get top 5 or win the Champions League, though. Yeah, what I'm getting from this is a lot of Slot out. I do think that people can't see us doing anything with Arne Slot. People like all these narratives of would you take a Champions League win or just get bare minimum top 5 finish, and people saying yes, but I don't think anyone believes that we'll get it with Arne Slot, which is the main issue. Kieran saying if we won the Champions League, that would be a Premier League title, an FA Cup final, and a Champions League in 2 seasons. When you put it like that, it sounds unbelievable. I'm struggling there. Like, do you sack Arne Slot if we won the Champions League? Can you do that? Any finish above relegation and win the Champions League? I guess so. You play for the moments. Spurs will still laugh at Arsenal that they've won more European trophies in recent years. Yeah. I just can't take us losing anymore. That's the main thing. We have a massive game anyway, Wednesday night against Sunderland. I don't know what people are feeling or thinking about that as well, but it is must win. So the main points I want to get through. So I think a lot of people thinking from the Dominic Szoboszlai red card, he's suspended, but a lot of people thinking it's goal. No red. Well, people think it's a red card, but we're agreeing that we think it should just be a goal and stop interfering with the game. Don't send him off. We all agree that Dominic Szoboszlai's free kick is the greatest thing ever since sliced bread. Unbelievable. People are thinking Arne Slot. Well, people I think believe we don't. Do we think we deserve to win that last night? Me and Kieran and Ronnie were a bit like, I'm still, last night, still not over it. I still can't believe we didn't even get a point out of that, the way we played. I don't think City battered us. I just think tactically, maybe Arne Slot got it wrong. But again, that's why people are, it's Slot out. It's not good enough. Don't know. Kieran saying it's not Chelsea. I'm very much, there's a big game Wednesday. If you're new to this or you just joined in because you haven't been able to watch all the live streams, please join us Wednesday night. It'll be me and Ronnie there. Kieran will be away, but we'll be watching the game against Sunderland home away. If you're not and you'd like to, anyone who stayed with this whole thing, I appreciate it. Please do me a favor. Just press the join the Denti family. I've seen a lot of people in there tonight that are already part of the Denti family. Just add the emojis. It's a lot better to use them all for the game. You get loyalty. If you've seen anyone in the comments with the Darwin badges, there'll be a few people up with the silver ones very, very soon. It's 99p a month. We made it as cheap as possible. For the whole month, 99p is not much, but again, you don't have to if you don't want to. It just helps us out to do more content. Miriam saying a draw would have been fair. I agree. I would have taken a point against, well, I wouldn't have taken a point against Man City, but the way the game panned out, I think a point is the least that we deserved. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Even if you watched this after the live stream, let me know what you thought in the comments down below on TikTok and on YouTube. I very, very much appreciate everyone that joined in and put their comments in and liked the video as well. It means a lot, helps us out. Let me know if you want to see more of these post-match reactions after the game, whether you'd like to see me react to more games that aren't just Liverpool as well, but still able to talk about Liverpool, whether you just like the live streams or you just want us to do the reaction games and this is just a load of nonsense. But let me know in the comments down below. Has meant a lot. Please make sure to